1. Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti. No rift over CFP debate. 2. College football playoff drama. Why 12 teams is enough. 1. Greg Sankey and Tony Petitti. No rift over CFP debate. Here's the big question. Can two of college football's most powerful leaders bridge a divide over the playoff format without damaging their relationship? Let's cut through the noise. Greg Sankey, the SEC Commissioner, and Tony Petitti of the Big Ten are far from being at odds, even as they clash over the future of the college football playoff, CFP. But here's where it gets tricky. Their differing visions for the playoff model could set the stage for a long-term showdown. And this is the part most people miss. The real battle isn't just about numbers. It's about scheduling advantages, historical precedent, and the politics of power conferences. Sankey, speaking on the Paul Feinbaum show ahead of SEC Media Days, didn't mince words. There is no rift between the SEC and Big Ten commissioners, he insisted. We have different views. That's okay. Far from avoiding Petitti, Sankey revealed they'd spoken 4 times in the previous week alone. We talked this morning, he added, about our disagreements. Fine, there's gonna be times we agree. That's okay. The message is clear. Personal rapport doesn't mean ideological harmony. So what's the root of the tension? The Big Ten, as reported by On3's Brett McMurphy, refuses to budge from its preferred CFP format unless the SEC adds a 9th conference game to its schedule. Currently, the SEC plays 8 conference games compared to the Big Ten's 9. The Big Ten also has 3 non-conference games versus the SEC's 4, a disparity they argue puts them at a disadvantage when the selection committee ranks teams. It's a scheduling debate of its own, McMurphy noted, hinting at the complexity of balancing inter-conference matchups. The proposed formats? The Big Ten favors a system that grants 4 automatic qualifiers, for +4 +2 +2 +1, prioritizing conference champions and strong resumes. Meanwhile, SEC coaches back the 5+11 model, which awards spots to the top 5 conference champions and 11 at-large teams. If no compromise emerges, the 12-team format will stick through the 2026 season, unless the leagues meet a December 1st deadline to finalize changes. But here's the controversial twist. Is the Big Ten stance about fairness, or is it about maintaining leverage in a power struggle? Critics argue that demanding a 9th conference game for the SEC could weaken the broader college football landscape by reducing non-conference matchups. Supporters counter that the current system unfairly advantages the SEC's schedule. Where do you stand? Should scheduling parity take precedence over tradition, or is the Big Ten overreaching? Sound off in the comments. This one's far from settled. 2. College football playoff drama. Why 12 teams is enough. The current 12-team college football playoff, CFP, system is effective and does not require an expansion to 16 teams. This assertion may raise eyebrows, but let's delve into why sticking with 12 could be the best course of action. Back in the era of the Bowl Championship Series, BCS, the idea of expanding the playoff format was met with fierce resistance. A memorable quote from Gordon G., the former president of Ohio State University, encapsulated this sentiment perfectly. They will wrench a playoff system out of my cold, dead hands, he declared in 2007. Fast forward to today, and while college football has indeed embraced a playoff system, it's worth noting that G is still alive and recently retired at the age of 81 after leading West Virginia University for a second time. What has truly changed, however, is the long-standing opposition to broadening the postseason field. For years, college football officials dismissed calls for expansion, insisting that a 2-team playoff was sufficient. Yet, even before the inaugural 12-team playoff took place last season, discussions about moving to a 16-team format were already in motion. This rapid shift in perspective reflects a sport that is evolving at an unprecedented pace, seemingly without regard for the future implications of such changes. Interestingly, the current debate surrounding playoff expansion has hit a snag, primarily due to disagreements between the two dominant conferences, the Southeastern Conference, SEC, and the Big Ten. Their inability to reach a consensus on how a 16-team playoff would be structured has effectively stalled any plans for expansion. This pause might actually be a blessing in disguise, allowing the 12-team model to be fully evaluated before any further changes are made. SEC Commissioner Greg Sankey recently stated, "We have a 12-team playoff, 5 conference champions. That could stay if we can't agree." This sentiment raises an important question. Why rush into expansion when the current system is still in its infancy? As we look ahead to the 2025 season, the 12-team format will feature automatic bids for 5 conference champions and 7 at-large selections. This is a significant improvement over last year's system, which restricted the top 4 seeds to conference champions only, creating an unbalanced playing field. The new format allows for a more equitable distribution of playoff opportunities. The SEC is advocating for a 16-team playoff that would maintain automatic bids for champions from the ACC, Big 12, Big 10, SEC, and the top team from the group of 6 conferences. However, the Big 10 is holding out for a different structure, proposing a system that allocates 4 automatic bids each to the Big 10 and SEC, 2 to the ACC and Big 12, 1 to the group of 6, and 3 at-large spots. This proposal has been dubbed the 4-4-2-2-1-3 model, a term that reflects the love of college athletic leaders for convoluted jargon. While other conferences like the ACC and Big 12 have expressed their opinions, largely siding with the SEC, the ultimate decision rests with these two powerhouse conferences. Currently, neither side seems willing to compromise, although there is still time before the November 30th deadline to finalize the 2026 playoff structure. Interestingly, Sankey has indicated a preference for a 9-game SEC schedule, despite pushback from his coaches. The Big Ten's proposal represents a significant shift in a sport already undergoing numerous transformations, including conference realignment, the transfer portal, and changes in revenue sharing. They suggest introducing multiple play-in games during conference championship weekend, where the top 2 teams would compete for the title, while the 3rd and 4th place teams would face off against the 5th and 6th place teams to determine additional automatic bids. If this concept were to be applied across all conferences, it could lead to a playoff featuring as many as 26 teams, with 22 of those in play-in scenarios. Such a change would fundamentally alter the competitive landscape of college football, potentially diminishing the importance of non-conference games and allowing mediocre teams to secure playoff spots, like last year's 6-seeded Iowa team, which finished with an 8-5 record. While this expansion could provide conferences with more valuable content to sell to broadcasters, it's unclear whether the financial benefits would be substantial. Additionally, accommodating 4 more first-round playoff games would require finding suitable television slots and ensuring they hold viewer interest. Is this expansion truly necessary? Do we really need a 16-team playoff, especially one that allows multiple bids from the same conference? In the current 12-team format, the first round has not been particularly competitive, with an average margin of victory of 19.3 points. This mirrors the first round of the NFL playoffs, which is designed to ensure that no legitimate contender is left out of the mix. Perhaps last year was an anomaly, and future matchups could be more competitive. Or, conversely, they could be even more lopsided. Wouldn't it be wise to gather more data before making such a significant leap? While there were some complaints about the selection committee's choices, such as picking SMU or Indiana over Alabama, these decisions were not egregious. disputes will arise regardless of the size of the playoff field. Moreover, Alabama's losses to two 6-6 teams last season raise questions about the merit of their inclusion. Does expanding the playoff to include teams with similar records truly enhance the competition? Ultimately, the decision regarding playoff expansion is being made with minimal real-world data to support it. Allowing a few seasons of the 12-team format to unfold could provide valuable insights and highlight any unforeseen consequences. You don't need to be a staunch traditionalist like Gordon G. from 2007 to advocate for patience and careful consideration before jumping into another round of expansion.